I think people, if they really understand like sympathy and empathy, the difference and how, I think I would definitely say that it comes with time on and age. It's a big part of it, obviously. And the older you are, not necessarily super old, but if you have the opportunity to experience some of that stuff when you're young, especially as a younger cop, your empathy is going to be based on kind of what you've seen. But I think it's a balance too, to where you can be empathetic in any profession and still, if your job does involve some degree of disciplinary action, then in a weird way, you're going to use that empathy to help somebody. And like we talked about earlier, the differences between, evil and just sort of the run-of-the-mill criminal, they're very different. So empathy will go a long way if you use it with any public contact, not just criminal. So you could, I don't know, pick your poison for whatever call for service you're going to. And, but empathy is paired with morale too. So
this is where I was going with that.
Kind of like where if everything's bad, right? I mean, if morale is bad at work, things aren't going well, my mood and my attitude is going to be extremely reminiscent of what's going on at work, basically, inside the office. And when you have agencies where morale is terrible and there's just not enough time in the day to fix the issues, then that's going to spill over to the response on a patrol level. And empathy and patience usually go out the window. And this, let's just take it out of context entirely. If you're just going through a divorce or something really traumatic and you're not the best version of yourself, you don't just turn that off when you go to work. It's going to follow you.
100%.
And you're going to have a bad day because you're having a bad week. And that's something that we have to sort of keep in check ourselves. But if it's a agency issue, then that particular area, going back to the concept of like societal decay, a lot of people will even reference for like the shoplifting stuff. I mean, do I really care that Target sees a loss? Does it really affect me? No. But as a citizen of that area, where I have to go get someone to unlock a case now, or all the things that happen, I'm going to stop going to these locations because now it's unsafe. Or I can't find anybody because there's no employees because they had to cut so many people because of the loss they take. That's the stuff that matters. So, empathy can be a really broad brush if you look at how it but how it directly affects society overall, right? All it takes is one bad contact. And if you look at some of the major, look at George Floyd, the initial call for service was a fake $20 bill. That was it. That was the nexus to that call. And look where we are. My God. I mean, the simplest that doesn't get much more black and white than that. It's a $20 bill. It's fake. And then here we are 4 years later. So it is weird to think about these very small scenarios where I don't know if empathy would have fixed that scenario. I don't know. But I think of all the would haves and could haves, which is scary when you think about just how close we came to a repeat incident, but maybe patience and empathy was the reason why it didn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big one that you just pulled up there. And I think about that. And I think it's completely relates to, we were talking about the Walmart or the Target versus the home invasion, and that it was a counterfeit $20 bill.
That's all it was.
And we should care that somebody is trying to pass a counterfeit bill at one of these inner city neighborhood, urban neighborhood convenience stores that's on the, liquor store, convenience store, however we're defining that, on the corner, because it fucking matters. Because when that happens, it can lead to these other things. And again, to just not care doesn't make a lot of sense. And again, that was the impetus of the question. You took it somewhere that I didn't really think about. That makes a lot of sense to me. And thinking about it bigger picture. And again, this ongoing conversation I've been having about officers training, kind of what we're seeing, we have a much larger population of less seasoned officers in a much different time, that are coming to the table. And there's a lot of, again, go back to the beginning, like there's body worn camera footage, and we're seeing stuff happen. What appears to be like very inexperienced, untrained, I'm saying this in air quotes, untrained, and just a disproportionate amount of people that are ready for the thing when it happens. And we want to basically say, hey, it's because of lack of firearms training, or it's a lack of fitness, and it's all of those things are included there. But again, to discount it and not think about like kind of where that comes from, and versus the good things that we do see. And because there's, again, going back to body-worn camera footage, there's stuff out there where you're just going, dude, that dude was on it. Like that officer handled it, right? There was just one recently that came out, guy going through a glass window, hostage situation. Is like, that's the cop I want if I got to call 911, the one that's going to get in there. But the way he handled himself. And there was also that, how it escalated, and then when that person knew when to take action at a different level. And it started with maybe somebody else would have not done that, right? I think that's clear. We've seen plenty of that, but also like the different points, like what am I actually here for? Like as an officer, and being able to go through this process of like, this person seems to be having a really bad day today. Like I've seen this before, and I get that. Okay. So rather than doing something that could escalate this to the next level, I don't know if it will or it won't, but what are the things that I could do from an empathetic perspective to at least maybe not say something or trigger something or trigger a behavior or trigger a thought that then escalates this to the next level to where it turns into something more.
Yeah.
And that's directly related to empathy. And if you're going to work every day with a bad attitude, right, and morale is down and people are pissed off, and yes, you have a lack of experience, a lack of training, and a lack of, well, I guess the term is experience around all of these things. What do you expect is going to happen out there on the street?
For sure.
And the first people that come to the table with that are officers, right? That are like, this is fucking bad. This is so bad, and here's all the reasons why. But I just, again, like I come back to this, like, but man, this is a deeper level to this. And what are we doing out on the street to avoid these things or teach these younger officers, give them some experience around this if everybody's pissed off, including the warriors, right? Because if the warriors are pissed off and they're not helping the guardians, if you will,
they're going to mimic what they do.
100% every time. I feel like that's where we're at.
Yeah. And it's good. I mean, I'll say this, that there's far more good that happens every day than bad.
100%. We never see it.
But the bad just gets highlighted. You know, the recent one, maybe like 6 months ago now, where she threw the pot of water at him. That incident probably happened 20,000 times across the U.S. in the same 24-hour period, but that was the one that went bad. Because the cops wanted, I mean, I don't think they knew what they were doing. They escalated that. So escalation, that's a really popular term right now, de-escalation, all that stuff. But be mindful and cognizant of, of self-escalating versus, we can try and de-escalate, but, know what you're doing and why you're doing it. The hostage one recently, he very quickly determined I can do X, Y, Z, and it comes with risk, but it's worth it, versus someone in the house by themselves. Don't force the issue. And we don't have to go into someone's house if they're alone. There's no threat to anyone. Cool. Well, does it suck when we leave and he still acts like a fool? Well, yeah, that's going to happen though. But would you rather have that or press the issue and then this dude gets shot for no reason? Like, we don't need that. So it's a tough job, because even with the empathy stuff, like, you're still going to be judged by the 1%.
The one time.
Which is unfortunate, but it's a reality, right? I mean, I don't blame the public for feeling that way, because it creates doubt. And when you create doubt, you have a whole new, my rule is like with the toothpaste theory, where it's really easy to squeeze it out, hard to put it back in. If we have one screw up in law enforcement, that could last for
10 seconds.
Yeah. And it gives us 10 years of work versus, the good stuff, which very rarely makes the news. And that's just a societal thing where everything's inherently negative because we just have that bloodlust. We want the bad, and the news knows that. And they're going to focus on that. There's tons of social media groups where you just go, good God, like KTLA 5 in Los Angeles, they post the most heinous shit. And it's like, I get it.
Views,
but it's
man.
like,
views and likes.
Exactly.
Man.
So that's the tech boom that we're in right now. And everything's so readily available, which is good and bad, because I like the transparency. I like that we have body cams. I like that we have all this technology. But very seldom does it get used for not what it should be used for, but in the light that it should be used, where, there's a lot of good things that happen. That hostage video was awesome, but we see more, I guess, fuck ups online than we do anything else.
All the time.
And everyone else wants to jump in and give their opinion.